Hello, so hopefully as you can see and maybe hear, I've got the German PAPR hood on from today's video. Now, my voice to me sounds surprisingly clear in this, but that might just be because a lot of the audio is echoing back into my ears, I'm not sure. But if you want to see, I've got this obviously running off its PAPR hose there. Looks like live chat's broken again, so let me just do a pop-out chat. Right, there we go, that's in the pop-out chat now. So I've got, right, Mr. Livera, so I've got, this running like today's video, sealed at my neck, as you can see. There's the actual hood bit, you can see out fine. So yeah, there's that running. As I said, it's a bit of a weird design, but if it gets the job done, I suppose it gets the job done. So there we go, I'll sit this on my lap for the time being, or just buy me the filter pump, but there you go. But that's actually, that's weirdly, this is cooler than sitting in the room normally because I've got the fan blowing directly into my face. So there we go. The only thing I found with these is a bit weird tightening them at the neck because it sort of strangles you. But hello, Kev, all right, Joshua. But hello, everybody joining, all right, Mike. So, yeah, so there's that. Literally wearing an inflatable bag on your head, but if it works, it works. Like I said, the thing I personally like is the fact that just blowing cold air into my face. Like, that's a great feature. So tighten that up a bit, because then it'll be more efficient. Yeah, that's weirdly effective. So the thing I was laughing at yesterday, and I forgot to mention on the members stream I did yesterday, did any of you see the awful London Underground signs they commissioned that looks like a kid did it in MS Paint? But apparently they paid £7 fucking million for it. So that's your taxpayers' money being wasted. £7 million for a child's drawing that was done by an adult. Let's just see if I can get this to look more like its proper shape. Give me a moment. I'll undo it and I'll redo it up. £7 million apparently. I don't know if that was that one picture or if it was for a few series of them, but yeah, £7 million. I'm alright, thank you, Ryan. I've got my funny German PAPR hood on, which is always weird. But there you go. I reckon Mikey just realised he could get away with scamming them from a load of money. Like, you know, if you're a rich, famous artist, why not make a piece of shit and say it's a work of art? You know, that's what modern art essentially is. But, yeah, like, I could draw something better than that, and that's not me going like, oh, I could do something better, like, you know, an idiot. I literally could, because that was a piece of shit. It was like, you know, a kid's drawing. Yeah, I suppose that works, doesn't it, KT? But yeah, FP203s, unlike FP5, are always 40mm GOST, which is good. But yeah, so here I am chilling in my NBC hood thing. Like I said, it kind of works, so I won't throw shade on it just because of the fact that it actually works. But I technically need to do it up tighter for it to inflate properly. So let's do that. All right, that should start inflating now. There we go. So hello everyone. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned the hood yet on this video. I know people probably saw the video I did on it earlier. But still. No, it's completely legit, weirdly. As much as this might look weird, that is a completely legit PAPR system. Yeah, well, as you said, Steve, thankfully, when the air starts going through it, you can't smell it anymore. But yes, it definitely has an unsettling smell, doesn't it, when you've not started putting a PAPR on for it yet. But like this actually is cooler in my room than it would be without it running, weirdly, because it's blowing cold air into my face. If you've got a Kevlar 3A vest, 2 grams of gold, the cheapest thing you can do is buy a cheap cutting board, you know, like for a kitchen, and put that in front of it. Well, because this is just a fan, it doesn't feel like an air conditioner in that sense. But it does feel like you're sitting in front of a desk fan, yeah. Like an actual air conditioner cools the actual air. This doesn't. All this does is basically just blow cold air onto your face. Yeah, tell Orion this is the future in CBRN protection, as much as it looks a bit more naff than using a regular mask. Well, Holy Roman Empire, it's designed to do exactly that job. The job of this is basically to provide somebody with a wound, like, you know, a wounded soldier, like filtration capabilities. It's just those look more like normal masks in this one. Right, let me take this off a minute, and then I'll put a different mask on just to show you it working with a different thing. So yeah, as I said, all that is essentially a bag that tightens around your neck, you know, with that on, making the airtight seal. When it's more that shape, I suppose it does look more like an actual mask, doesn't it? Like an NBC sort of hazmat suit's hood. They're all right, Telechase, for something you can quickly pop on and take off. Like, I don't know how much I'd recommend them compared to proper NBC suits, but in terms of, you know, just something you can quickly pop on and take off, NBC ponchos are fairly good. Yeah, there we go. I'll put on a mask that's actually a bit more of a proper mask. Right, now let me put this back on. There we go. So this is actually a bit more comfortable. Well, actually, in some ways, it's less comfortable because it sits tighter onto your face. But obviously, this is more like using a proper mask with a positive air pressure system. That kind of surprised me, Skinny Flea, considering you know, what I've got running at the moment. But it might just be because it's a good microphone and noise cancellation, so it's generally quite good at cancelling out fan noises. Well, yeah, Steve, that's definitely the thing I think that works well with a lot of those things, is that you can wear glasses under them, whereas things like this you can't. Well, obviously, they're designed for proper optical inserts, aren't they? But yeah. So yeah, there you go. That's this working. And I've got the thing Steve gave me, which did Amy make the Steve, this sort of molly kind of kit for it. But that's definitely better than the one that comes with it. Yeah, it's running bright on speed 2, not even speed 1. So if I put it down to speed 1, that's speed 1. And with the C4, that provides easily enough air. But I can run it obviously on the higher speed. But yeah, I'm guessing that my microphone just cancels out the noise of it running. Z56s are normally a lot more than that, lol. So yeah, I'd get one for that price. But I think that's just a noise cancellation on the Blue Snowball that's quite good, because it cuts out my computer fan noise in the background as well. Is the Bulgarian M72 Cornholio swag the one that looks like the Italian M33? That'd be good, Steve. Yeah, I didn't know if this was like something you pre-bought or she made, but yeah, it's good regardless. I like this because obviously you can attach it to your belt easier, or like you're saying, like an actual chest rig, can't you? That is very kinky, Brighthorn. You know, maybe he likes a rubber, yeah. Not me. But yeah, there you go. So that's that. Like I said, I've done videos on it, but these German ones I quite like because, like I said, when Steve let me borrow the C420, the C420 is obviously a better unit, but this is good for what it is. And because I'm not somebody who really needs a PAPR unit, you know, because although I'm asthmatic, I can breathe through a gas mask filter without issues. You know, something like this is just nice because it's compact enough and does its job, and you get 2 speed settings, you know, so if speed 1 isn't good enough for masking, but on speed 2, it'll run the batteries down faster. It's surprisingly good. But basically all this is, for those of you that didn't see the video on it, and I'll take the filter out so you can see. What this basically is a sort of fan, sort of turbine type thing in there. If I take that hose off, you can probably see easier. So yeah, you can probably see the turbine better from that angle. There we go. So when you turn it on, see how it just spins up essentially. It's just a turbine. All PAPR units essentially are is a fan pulling air through a filter. Because what you could do if you're trying to make your own PAPR unit, I assume you could just get a computer fan, couldn't you? Rig that up, as long as it was a powerful enough computer fan, rig that up next to a filter and it can pull air through it. Because that's essentially how dust filters on computers work. It's just a computer fan with like a very basic kind of particulate filter in front of it, so that catches the dust rather than it going into the machine. The worst Avon mask, in my opinion, Telly Chase, is the escape hood because it nearly suffocated me. There you go. Yes, Edward, I've got deactivated guns and live guns, but as Flazzy said, YouTube will literally take my stream down if I show them on stream, and they've actually done it to me, you know. As much as it used to be like a threat of, we'll do this to you, they've done it to me in person, so I know they actually do it. Sounds nice. I like Guinness, Ryan, but last night I was having a day off drinking. I've had a little bit of whiskey tonight, but like only like one shot worth, but yeah, that's the problem when you drink too much. You're kind of like, oh, it's a daily thing now, and you shouldn't really make it a daily thing, but yeah. I don't really know what you mean by that, Steve Goldman, Noda ranking. You can actually see some dust coming down weirdly on the camera, and that's where the PAPR has been moving dust around the room, you know, because it's been moving air. That's kind of weird seeing that, like, oh, there's actually dust flying around the room now because the PAPR has disturbed it. I'm actually going to see if I can get this to connect to a Soviet mask, saying that, because although this is a NATO hose, if I don't force it on too tightly, with a Soviet mask being GOST, this might make an alright connection, so I want to try that. So let me connect this up to this end. Well, it's up to you, burner count. It's mostly personal preference. The lower the helmet brim covers, the better head protection it gives, but it also means it gets in the way of comms equipment. And that's why stuff like fast helmets are designed for people wearing comms equipment and regular helmets aren't. Personally, like I said, I definitely prefer helmets that cover more of my head than less of my head, but that's because I've not really, although I've got some comms equipment people have sent me before, like I'm not a massive fan of it, especially because, you know, I've got actual no need for using it as a civilian. So personally, I'd rather have a helmet that gives me the best head coverage possible. I don't know much about them, Brighto, in all honesty. Do I have the PMG in this room? Sadly, I don't think I do. Otherwise, I'd get that out. But let's just see. What there should be a GP5 in here somewhere, if I can find it in an obvious location. Just give me a moment. If I can spot the GP5, I'll pop it on the GP5. But I don't know if that GP5 is in all that accessible area. Right, it's not on that side, which means it could be here, but it's buried if it is there. Yeah, annoyingly, I can't see the GP5, so I can... Oh, wait, there it is. It's on the floor. Yeah, right. I'll just do the GP5. I know it's not got a voice diaphragm on it. It'll just be worth testing it on this because it's the Soviet mask that most people have. So obviously this bit won't connect properly because this is trying to put a NATO adapter into a GOST one. I don't want to damage the plastic on here because that's more valuable than the GP5 by quite a long shot. But I just want to see if I can get it to screw in enough that it will make a good enough seal that the positive air pressure will make the GP5 work with it. Because as you can see, that's cross-threaded on there. But because it's a positive air pressure respirator system, you don't actually worry about that as much. Because if I breathe like this now, it's definitely pulling air in there from there. But when I turn the fan on, that should mean that the greater bit of resistance isn't in that area. So let's try it. Yeah, I can feel air coming out the GP5's exhale valve, so that's working. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that the valve's open under there. You see, it will inflate the mask if I do that. So yeah, it's coming out the exhale valve. If I cover the exhale valve, that's weird, the mask starts inflating. So yeah, you can, like, I'll do a proper video testing this, because you can obviously feel some air leaking out from that screw thread. But yeah, the TP5 kind of works for this, because I guess because it's moving enough air, the positive pressure bit of the system actually makes it work. I mean, I know you're not going to be able to see anything on the camera if I put it there, but that's definitely doing its job, the positive air pressure system. And again, like I said, you can feel the air coming out of there when it's on. But yeah, like I said, it's not like the PAPR fits on there properly, because obviously, I suppose that bit actually kind of helps unlike a regular gas mask thread, because this bit's probably pushing directly into the O-ring, saying that. Like saying, I wouldn't recommend people do this on purpose, just buy an alright NATO mask. But yeah, it's kind of good that even with a GOST mask, you can always bodge a PAPR unit onto it. Yeah, there's always some air that's going to escape from that, because as you can see, it cross threads on, because it's not actually a GOST thread. But yeah, that does work. So yeah, the simple answer is at least that if you do get a GOST mask and you put a Western PAPR unit on it, it will work to some degree. I'd complain to Tesco's management inside the hide then. Myra don't make masks, they just resell check masks at an overly overpriced profit. So you're asking, is the check on 90 good? It's okay if you're not paying too much for it. But Myra charged like 3 times the retail price of it. But yeah, I'm just trying to think, do I have any other Soviet masks handy? Just because I'm kind of interested in trying them with the PAPR at the moment, but they're probably not all that handy. It's just kind of an interesting thing now, wondering how different masks work for PAPR. Yeah, if you add enough O-rings burner account, you can get GOST masks to seal pretty well with NATO filters, but obviously it's not to a very good standard. Like, it certainly wouldn't meet CBRN standards. If you're just doing it for yourself, go ahead. But, you know, it's not one of those things I'd really recommend in terms of how good the protection is. I already said I don't know where the PMG is. I think it's not in this room is the simple answer to that. Because obviously if I had the PMG handy, I could test it with it, but I don't. So this is a GOST mask, though. So I'll see how well it goes into this. Because, again, this doesn't actually fit a... you know, this is a GOST mask. It's not actually... this is definitely my best GOST mask. It's one of my best masks, full stop. It's not a NATO thread on this one. Like I said, it'll go in enough like that. It's a bit cross-threaded. But hopefully that will mean that with the PAPR, it will work quite well. If I get this tightened up. So let's turn this on. Yeah, I can feel the air coming out of there. So yeah, this definitely works with a PAPR system. So there you go. These probably work all right with GOST masks, for anybody wondering. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. They're obviously designed for NATO masks because of the thread. But, you know, if you used it with a GOST mask, there is air coming out of the bit it's meant to come out of. I don't know if that comes off this cover, otherwise I could show you maybe the valve opening. But there you go. So this Chinese mask works for that. I can't actually feel any air escaping there, so maybe that's a good enough thread that, you know, most of the air pressure is escaping there. So there you go. So yeah, the German PAPR thing is actually pretty good, and this isn't their actual infantry one, is it? This is just like the wounded people one. I think the infantry one's got like 2 or 3 filters on it, but I'd say this moves enough air for most people. The mask, this is a Chinese MF11D, which is technically, I think, an FMJ09, which is like their current military mask. This is just the industrial variant of it. It's actually a pretty damn good mask, but it's just blatantly, you know, we wanted a C50 clone sort of thing. But again, the thing is with China, you've got to understand, is the CCP actually does put a lot of effort into Chinese military gear, just not the stuff they export. So the Chinese domestic stuff is actually pretty good. It's just they sell absolute crap to the export market, which is why, you know, like modern Chinese body armor, helmets, all that sort of stuff is all pretty good. It's just not the stuff they export. But if you can get your hands on it, it's actually quite good. You might as well, Stug, if you found one for a decent price, get it. Yeah, it's on Speed 2, Steve. I generally prefer Speed 2. I mean, Speed 1 is good enough for most masks. It's just on Speed 2 I find, you know, it does more of the function I want a PAPR to be using. Because, like, Speed 1 is definitely better than, like, the Israeli civilian PAPR units. But, again, it's like... Because I'd say the C420, for example, feels like between Speed 1 and 2 on that German one. I mean, what's the C420 actually meant to move? Is it 90 litres a minute? I'm not actually sure. But, like... in terms of speed-wise, it seems like the German one on Speed 1 isn't as good as the C420. On Speed 2, the German one moves a bit more air than the C420, but it's definitely louder. You know, I don't know what the battery's like either, but, you know. But again, it's like, it's not something I'd recommend for using with Soviet masks or Ghost masks, but it does seem to work at least to some degree. Yeah, I know of the FM54, but I've never actually tried one, Easton. I only tried an FM53 the other day, thanks to Steve letting me do a video on one. Because they're a bit outside my price range, you know. Because like I've said before, as much as I know they're obviously good masks, for me, I wouldn't need something that good, you know, because of the fact that if a civilian is exposed to chemical weapons, it's probably not going to be in the same volume that the front line is exposed to as soldiers. So it's basically... you'll either die with no warning of a chemical attack, or you'll know one's coming and you can put your mask on. And something like an FM12, a CT12, a Canadian C4, you know, they're all good enough masks for that. Yeah, I suppose it's both the filter and the battery, isn't it, Steve? Because I imagine if it's slightly overvolted, although it will heat up a bit faster, it will move more air. Right, I'm trying to think, XJ, because the technical answer is you shouldn't, you know, use masks by default for that. But I think something like an Avon M50 or C50 is probably going to have a pretty strong panoramic lens. I had an Avon M50 and I traded it. I've never had the C50, but I know what the C50 is. It's just a 40mm version of the M50. Right. Because like I was saying before, it's like, this is the mask personally I'd use, you know, so... just because I find this mask is comfortable for me, you know, and everything else. So again, this will properly fit onto the PAPR system because it's a NATO mask. Actually, this German valve is a little bit bulky around the outside of this. I don't think it's too bulky to screw in, but, you know. Yeah, interestingly, the German PAPR doesn't quite like going on the CT12, it seems, but I guess that's just because of the size of the valve assembly. I think I've got it in now. It's like doing a Ghost mask. It's not cross-threaded, though. It just didn't want to go in very well. You can get a lot better than a GP5. The main problem with GP5 is it doesn't use modern filters. It uses old Soviet Ghost filters, which is basically not used by anyone but Russia and China at this point. If you can get an FM12 for €65, go for it. Right. There we go. So the good thing is you can still breathe with this unit on if you've not got the fan turned on. It's just a bit more resistance than normal, but obviously with the fan on it becomes much easier. So speed 1. There we go, nice and easy. I'll probably be able to feel the air escaping in a moment. Yeah, there we go. But then speed 2 is obviously going to just be more air being moved. Also, you'll notice masks don't fog up if you've got a PAPR on because of the way the air moves around them. Well, the best thing you could get, Shiravi, if you live near a nuclear power plant, is a good radiation detector. Because all the protection in the world doesn't matter if you don't know that there's ionizing radiation around you. Basically, you just want to evacuate the area if there's sort of higher radiation levels. Oh, actually, for the person asking about like a metro-style mask, are you able to get the Zelinsky.mag? Because I'm pretty sure that's got pretty strong reinforced lenses, and it's like a panoramic sort of Russian design. It's like a modern PPM-88. Is enlisted a game if I don't have it. But like inside the hide says, yes, you want to, if you're going to use a mask for airsoft, you want to probably get reinforced outserts for it as well as the regular lenses. All right, I'll take this off and say it again. Right, so there's a mask you can get called the Zelinsky.mag. The Zelinsky.mag is a modern Russian mask which has a panoramic lens, and I'm pretty sure it's a polycarbonate panoramic lens. So it looks a bit like a modern version of the PPM-88, which was on the masks used in Metro 2033 and Last Light and all of those. So yeah, if you wanted a Russian mask that looks a bit like the Metro one and is strong enough for airsoft, as much as I'm still not going to recommend masks for airsoft, the modern PPM-88s like the Zelinsky.mag might be good enough. But as said, it's not something I would personally want to use because they are not designed for airsoft. Basically, masks are designed to protect the wearer from, chemicals, and that's it. They're not designed to protect you from like flying debris and stuff like that. They are, Claire, because again, these are polycarbonate, and the S10 had, was it PVC plastic? But again, you still don't want to, risk them on purpose. I have done a video on it, yes, before. What ranges of radiation are you looking for? Because bear in mind with radiation detectors, there are some designed for high levels of radiation and some designed to be sensitive to low levels. If you want the best of both worlds, you're going to have to buy two different detectors. If you're just going to buy one detector, I'd probably recommend something like the Terra-P, as in Terra, which is a Ukrainian Geiger counter lots of people use if they're tour guides at Chernobyl. Just because the Terra-P does basically background levels of radiation to pretty damn high levels of radiation pretty accurately, and it just runs on like two AAA batteries. It's either two AA or AAA batteries the Terra-P runs on. But if you seriously want something for high levels of radiation, you're going to want an ionization chamber. Ionization chambers are things like the CDV 715, British MD3 meters, because they use a different method of counting radiation, which is far more accurate at high levels of radiation than the Geiger counter. So if I expose my Geiger counter to high levels of X-rays, the Geiger counter's just cut out or give you a really low reading. The ionization chambers literally tell you're going to be dead in like an hour of exposure kind of thing. Hence why I prefer those. Depends on the model of SOX, Brightel, because bear in mind, the basic SOX ones only go up to about 1 millisievert. They're not really good enough, other than telling you to get out, get the fuck out kind of thing. I know SOX probably do some higher end meters, but I've not personally used them. I just know the Terra-P does a very good job of that. It's a shame I contaminated mine, but Yeah, that would work as well, XJ77. Like I said, you just want to make sure you keep your eyes safe, because, like, getting blinded for a game of airsoft is definitely not worth it. My favourite check mask, probably the CM4 or the CM5. As much as I've got an OM90, I do like the CM4 and CM5. Yes, I'd recommend an S10, but only if you can get it at a good price. It's not worth paying well over £100 for an S10, because, bear in mind, in the UK, we used to get them for under £30. And for that money, they're brilliant, but for, really, really expensive prices, no. I don't actually know Seed Gorman. I've never like picked one apart to have a look at it because of the age of them and like the rarity. Yeah, C4 is a good mask, isn't it, Pavel? For like what it is, for one of the Ghost masks, I'd say it was one of the best ones of the Cold War period. Just because in terms of like comfort, visibility, voice diaphragm, it's all very good. I already showed my favourite mask this stream. It's the Avon CT12. There you go. It doesn't normally have a PAPR hose on it, but this one. But I like it because people can hear you all right. You can put outserts on it very easily. It's got a comfortable head harness. Looks cool. It's like an improved S10 made in this country. Why would I not like it? Edward, wow, I used to have at the peak probably about 150 odd different masks. Now I probably have 120 to 130, but that's because a lot of the masks I either sold or gave away to people who needed masks when Corona was on. So if I had friends or relatives that, you know, were worried, I'd just give them a mask. Say, have this, have a couple of filters, there you go. But Flazzy, if I have that up, even more people will ask it. That's the problem. When I used to have it in the description FAQs, people would ask them on every stream. Because what they do is they look in the FAQ and then ask it to be even more irritating. What was Scott's accident? The only thing I know in terms of Scott and an accident would be the GSR. Is that what you're on about, or something else? Put a plaster on it, WT Oasis, and maybe something that will stop it getting infected. Yeah, I've finally been given my return date, Joshua, for work. So that's good for you, good for me. But yeah, my boss finally contacted me and said, this is the date you're coming in and it's time. So that's good. So I actually know, you know, properly when I'm back at work now, which is good because I'd rather know in advance when I'm going in than being told, you know, one day like, oh, you're in tomorrow or whatever. Was that the guy who's 50 cal blowing up? Yeah. So what exactly was the cause of that? Because I've heard various things. I've heard like the round might have been over pressure, or he might have been using cheap rounds in it that fouled apart the gun up, causing the pressure to build up. But I've not actually heard a proper explanation of it. You know, like he's lucky to be alive, isn't he? Or not have his face like seriously cut open after that. So yeah, like a gun that couldn't hold very good pressure, Flazzy, I guess, combined with, yeah, high pressure round. So a gun with low tolerances combined with a round putting more strain on it. So the answer to that is buy a better gun, I guess, or use very good grade ammo where you're not going to get outliers where some of the rounds are really hot, I'd guess. Is that the civilian one, Easton? Because I know there's a civilian one from like the early Cold War that looks like the XM28, if you're on about that one. I think they used the same face piece, didn't they? It's just a different filter system. So if you ask me, have I seen that mask? Yes, I've seen it. Do I own one? No. Oh, is it almost like spiked ammo, Nick? Because I know like spiked ammo is an actual thing, isn't it? Like used in wars where they give the enemy, like they supplied them with overpressured rounds so it blows the guns and like mortars up. Because I know that was like a big thing in Vietnam, spiked ammo, where you're almost putting like grenade explosives inside a regular cartridge. Wow, it's not illegal to come into the UK with a gas mask. If you go to another country, I don't know, but you can bring them in here legally. I mean, it might seem a bit weird, but there's nothing wrong with it. Which one's the rad scan? Let me have a look at the rad scan. Do you mean the radius scan? If you mean the radius scan, yes, radius scans are very good. The radius scan and the therapy are pretty equal. The therapy will go to higher ranges than the radius scan, but the radius scan is probably more accurate. But yes, the radius scan 701A, it goes up to 1 Rontgen. So if you're near a power plant, if it ever gets close to 1 Rontgen, you seriously do not want to be around there. Because as I said with Geiger counters are better at low ranges of radiation. Things like ionization chambers are better at high ranges, as in, you know, you will be dead in an hour, 2 hours kind of ranges. Where Geiger counters are kind of more sensitive, so they basically pick stuff up, you know, at lower levels to warn you when something's starting to go wrong. And I said that was the problem in Chernobyl, that they were either using scintillation. I think it was scintillation counters they had that maxed out at 3.6 Rontgen. But basically, it was a counter that was designed to tell you if it was slightly above elevated levels of radiation. So hence why it was a per second counter, not a per minute or per hour counter. So when it was picking up the fact it was like 3.6, 1 microsievert plus per second, that meant 3,600 seconds in an hour, 3.6 Rontgen per hour. Stuff is seriously gone wrong. But they didn't actually have to hand, like the doomsday level counters that they needed. But yeah, I keep the radio scan in my bedroom, but yeah, it's a good counter. It's nice because it does alpha, beta, and gamma as well. It's not that sensitive to alpha because of how they've built it, but it's still good. Like, you can basically, any of the common radio nuclides it will pick up if you've got the back cover off, because alpha gets in, beta gets in, and gamma gets in. What do you mean by a light gas mask? Like a light anti-gas respirator? If so, no, I've not got one handy. I'm all right, thank you. Where would I recommend it? It depends where you get access to, because obviously if you're in the UK, there's a couple of good eBay sellers. There's sometimes even like Prepper's Shop has in-date sealed filters in for all right prices. But again, if you're in the US, I don't know, because I don't know what you can buy from where. Sounds good, Flazzy. Have you decided what you're getting yet? No, M65s aren't worth very much at all, Daniel. German M65s are very common. It's only the M65Z, which is probably worth a bit more, and I've not seen those for sale for a while. But I've got an M65 and an M62, and they're like, masks. Saying that, the M65 with PAPR on would actually be quite good. It's just not very good with negative pressure because of the way the outside seal's been made. Well, I've got a Steyr Mannlicher, but a very, very old one, and I like that. But I don't know. But Remington's like a famous good old company. I'd say get the one where you can get the ammo cheaper for it, really. Well, I don't live in the US, so I don't know. But can you literally get a single action bolt 22 LR rifle for $250? You should be able to, because in terms of having a 22 LR with no magazine system in it that's bolt action, they should be able to make those dirt cheap. What's the best World War II gas mask? Probably the Finnish M39 civilian mask. It's literally better than anything Germany, Britain, or America came up with. Right, a rebreather isn't a filter. A rebreather is a thing that basically recycles the air you exhale into breathable air to re-inhale. So basically it's designed to use underwater in areas with no oxygen content whatsoever. You can own a replica Uzi with the right paperwork, or you can own a deactivated Uzi, but you can't own a live Uzi. I suppose if you had an Uzi that was semi-automatic rather than automatic, it had a massive stock extension and barrel extender on it. It might fall under some of the pistol laws, but it's not really a proper Uzi at that point, is it? No, I'm on about my German NBC hood, not the council estate. It depends on the individual tank. Like lots of tanks have CBRN overpressure systems, but some tanks did just issue rebreathers for the crew, especially if the tank got submerged in water. The thing is, you can own any gun, can't you, recycled into 22 LR, but it's not really the original gun at that point, is it? Because you can get AKs and M16s in the UK in 22 LR, but I'd say at that point it's not really an AK or an M16, because the only thing similar is the action of it. And if you're shooting a 22 LR, it doesn't really matter because it's, it's like saying, oh, you could get a 50 cal, but it's in 22, it's not 50 cal anymore. Yeah, I know. It's just I find the Mannlicher bit. I know it's meant to be Mannlicher or something like that funny, but it's funny as Mannlicher. No, I like to lick the man. Yeah. I've got my Mannlicher there, but I can't show you because YouTube would take the stream down. But yes, there's a Mannlicher right there. It is an 1886 Mannlicher. It's very old. How much have I spent on gas masks? No fucking clue. If it's an M9A1 mask, you'll be absolutely fine. If it was an M9 pistol, then no, that certainly wouldn't be allowed. The chemical is strict on, as in the East German camo, because East Germany used M10s as well. You can see the time there, so it'd be have a good evening or night. It's certainly not a good day at the moment, but yes, it's 8:45 p.m. Oh, a big black Mannlicher in 50 caliber. That is sehr good. Yeah. It sounds good, Fuzzy. Maybe just go for that. Like I said, it's your money, your choice, isn't it? Not the M50, it's the C50 that uses 40mm NATO. M50 uses like its own unique filter. Right, Claire, I really don't get YouTube's rules. All I know is if I pick up a gun and show it you on a live stream, YouTube will take my stream down and give me a threat. They did that to a stream last week I did. You can show guns in regular videos, not live streams, but you know, in theory, that isn't breaking any rules, but I've still had a regular video of a gun taken down on it. So, you know, I don't know. But I'm not the person who makes all these rules up. I mean, I don't know why you'd want to spend £550 on a World War II gas mask. That sounds a bit overpriced. What, licks a man? Maybe in German club. Steve's just sending me something. Let me have a look. Oh, cool. Those are the, doesn't mind me saying, those are the things for removing the caps. Yeah, they look good. As in, like, the proprietary filter caps that I was on about in the video the other day. Where did I get the shirt? Friends of the family sent me one. Steve, I'd like one, but I've got no use for it at the moment because I don't have a mask to use the key with, if you're asking me about the key. Because that's the only problem, is as much as it's cool, I don't have an M50 or an FM53. Oh, World War I's a bit different. What, like the PH gas hood or the hypo hood? Yeah, I thought you meant like the World War II sort of civilian baby kind of respirator things. Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about guns on a live stream. Like, in theory, there's not any rules about talking about guns on live stream. It's just holding them, you know, showing them like that. But, you know, maybe YouTube is just removing all thing of it. It looks like, well, what it actually is, Claire, is what's called the Draeger Simplex, which I think was a 1950s or 60s German mask. Yeah, like I said, Steve, it'd be useful just to like say this is what this is for. But yeah, like I said, I don't have I had the closest I had was an M50 rather than the C50. But yeah, like I said, it might be a useful thing to just have. I've got 2 air guns. Well, I've got technically 3 because I've got a Daisy Red Rider. And if you classed an airsoft gun as an air gun, then I'd have like 4 or 5 air guns. Oh, Draeger were around in World War II as well. It's just Draeger did the mask that the Israelis either licensed or just copied. And Steve said that the Chinese 4A1 copies are absolutely awful. Just for anybody thinking, oh, should I get one of those or one of those King gas masks? No, you shouldn't. That's the answer. Apparently, it's awful. Yeah, like, I agree with Flazzy there. Good gun plastics are definitely better than wood in terms of practicality of like not swelling up and being a bit lighter. But in terms of yeah, cool factor, I like wood a lot more. Steve, it's not as bad as my pewter gas mask. All right, if you've not seen a video on it, it's this monstrosity. Hang on. I keep it this handy because it's good to bring up in streams when people say, what is the worst gas mask? So it's this piece of shit. So what this is basically, I've actually improved the design of this because I've modded one of the straps so it doesn't fit on using its original connector. But the straps on this are held on via friction. So basically, the straps can sometimes come off at any point. I do have a Ushanka somewhere, yes. I think that's actually in the boot of my car for when the weather gets cold. So let me demonstrate why this mask is bad. It might work slightly with the PAPR on it, but so basically this mask, often the straps just like that ping off because they're held on via friction, you know, which is always a great idea for the mask that's meant to fucking save your life. They're held on via friction. It's not like they're on a proper thing. No, they're held on via friction. So to get the strap back on, I basically just have to stick it back over with my hand over this joint. There we go. And then hope it doesn't come off again. But it comes off constantly because it's held on via friction, you know. Oh, it's come off again, look. Right, I'm not going to even demonstrate this because it's just a piece of shit. The other problem is, because the mask is made from such soft rubber, when you have the weight of a filter on the bottom of it, it does this constantly. So yes, there you go. This is the worst mask I've literally ever seen because I've rarely even got it working once in like trying to demonstrate it on a video condition. And it's a shame because I like the panoramic design of it. It's just they could have put good straps on it, but no. And also, you know, the fact the mask does that when you just do that to it, like, oh, the weight of a filter, ooh, the mask has crushed itself. So there you go. That is the worst mask. If you think your Chinese mask is bad, Steve, wait till you see this one. Although they've probably used some of the same components on it. But the main thing with this that's bad is the straps, just because, again, the strap held on by friction is not good. You don't want that as a design. Have a proper strap, not one where, oh, wow, if too much pressure is put on the strap, it will just come off. But there you go. So if you want my opinion on the worst gas mask ever out of all the ones I've got, it's this one. Oh, yeah, it doesn't have an intake valve either. Look at that. No intake valve. So, again, it steams up a lot as well. Yeah, I've done a video on those awful Chinese half-face yellow and black gas masks as well. They're pretty awful. Like I said, the difference is astounding between Chinese stuff for the PLA and stuff like that and this shit they export to people like you and me. Like, this mask is amazingly good in terms of the straps. Look at that. Much better. So this is a good mask, you know. Like I said, this mask is good. I like this mask, but this isn't the stuff they export to you. They export to you stuff like this. The only similar looking thing is maybe the panoramic lens on that. You know, this one is dual filter ports. I've got a blanking plug in that one, but it's dual filter port. It's got a good oral nasal cup that sticks to your nose. You know, the mask isn't going to move with the weight of the filter on it. And, you know, it uses a Western style head harness. Because they just copied it, but still. This compared to this, it's completely a different class of mask. It's a shame because, like I said, this could be good if they'd made, you know, well, I suppose the only good bit is the panoramic lens, but you know what I mean. I like the panoramic lens on this. If you want a cheap Chinese mask, just for anybody wondering, that's actually all right, like I've said before, get one of these. These are all right just because they're so simple. And that's just basically a full-face panoramic thing. These are a rip-off of a Scott mask. I can't remember the exact name of them. But like I said, these work all right just because, you know, they're so simple, they don't really go wrong. It's not as bad as that Chinese mask. Don't go to snorting gas masks, though, GZ. At that point, it will be too late. But anyway, I'll be off now. I hope everybody's enjoyed the stream. I've enjoyed doing this one. So, as said, the PAPRs are quite good. I'm glad Steve sent me one of those for free because I've actually quite enjoyed that. It's nice to have a PAPR I can actually use with stuff. But the pewter mask is fucking awful for the people who didn't know. Like I said, my opinion is not going to change on that. Well, the brighter, it's actually probably going to be worse because if you didn't have a mask on at all, it's going to go straight down you to gas. With the mask on, it might be partially filtrating the air if it's kind of stuck on your face at an odd angle. So you're just inhaling less volume of gas, but still a lethal volume where it just kills you slower. So it'd be even worse. I'd rather die instantly or not die at all with chemical weapons. Yeah, I'll be on your stream in a bit, Mike. I won't be constantly on stream, but I will be in the chat. But, you know, it might be one of those ones where I'm multitasking, doing a couple of things. Yeah, have a good evening. I'll be doing, I don't know if I'll be doing a stream tomorrow or Sunday. If I do, it'll probably be a members stream. But I'll be on Weapon Collector's stream if he's on today or tomorrow. Oh, he said he is on today, but you know. But anyway, have a good evening, everybody. Is that De Brunok? Pavel, I'm probably mispronouncing that, but is that a bit like it's like one of the good afternoon ones? I'm assuming that's goodbye, is it, or good evening? But I've seen similar, I think, Eastern European languages where that would be like the Brog, yeah, or something like that. Oh, fuck me, I don't know. But is that either Czech or like Polish for something like that? Ah, Brighthole said it as well. So is it Polish? But yeah. Anyway, have a good evening, everybody, and I'll see some of you on Weapon Collector's stream if you're on there later.